When you set boundaries, you are essentially saying, this is who I am, these are my needs, and this is how I expect to be treated. Let's get into the different types of boundaries and how to set them. Physical boundaries involve your physical space and body. These boundaries are crucial for maintaining a sense of personal comfort and safety. So how do we set them? It's all about clear communication. It's about expressing your comfort level with physical touch or personal space. For instance, if you're not a fan of spontaneous hugs, you might say something like, I prefer not to be hugged without being asked first. This straightforward statement sets a clear boundary and lets others know your preference. It's also important to remember that these boundaries can change, and that's perfectly okay. You might be comfortable with a close friend hugging you, but not a new acquaintance. And that's fine. It's your space, and you get to decide who enters it and when. So don't shy away from speaking up about your physical boundaries. Remember, it's your body, and you have the right to decide what feels comfortable to you. Emotional boundaries protect your emotions and mental health. These are the invisible lines that separate your feelings from those of others. They allow you to separate your emotional needs and feelings from someone else's. They safeguard your ability to separate your emotions from each other, and they prevent you from feeling guilty for someone else's negative feelings or problems and taking others' comments personally. So, how do you set emotional boundaries? It's all about expressing your feelings assertively. It's about saying what you feel and need rather than what you think the other person wants to hear. For instance, you might say, I feel overwhelmed when you criticize me. I need you to communicate constructively. Remember, it's perfectly okay to express your feelings without feeling guilty or defensive. It's also important to remember that setting emotional boundaries doesn't mean you're being selfish or unkind. It's about preserving your emotional health and well-being. Your feelings are valid, and you have the right to express them. Time boundaries involve how you allocate your time and energy. This means designating certain hours for specific tasks or commitments and making it known to others. Now, how do we set these boundaries? Firstly, it's about prioritizing. Understand what tasks or commitments are most important to you. Is it your work project, family time, personal development? By identifying these priorities, you can allocate your time more effectively. Secondly, communicate your availability clearly. If you have set aside Tuesday evenings for a yoga class, let your colleagues know you won't be available for late meetings. If Sundays are for family, make it clear to your friends that you're not open for social engagements on that day. Remember, setting time boundaries isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about creating a balance between your professional, personal, and social life. It's about respecting your time and energy and expecting others to do the same. Your time is valuable, and you have the right to decide how you spend it. Material boundaries involve your possessions and resources. When it comes to the items you own, the money you've earned, and the resources at your disposal, setting boundaries can sometimes feel a little tricky, but it's as simple as this. Your possessions are yours, and it's up to you to decide how they're used. We all have items that we're willing to share, and others we'd rather keep to ourselves. That's perfectly normal. The key is clear communication. If someone asks to borrow something you're uncomfortable lending, be honest. It's okay to say no. For instance, you could say, I'm not comfortable lending my car, but I can give you a ride. Remember, setting material boundaries isn't about being stingy or selfish. It's about respecting your own resources and ensuring others do the same. It's about understanding your right to your possessions and standing firm in that right. Your possessions are yours, and you have the right to decide how they are used. Social boundaries involve your interactions with others in social settings. These boundaries are crucial for maintaining your comfort and enjoyment in various social situations. They can range from your preference for group size, choice of location, to the types of activities you enjoy. Just as you might prefer a quiet evening with a few close friends over a large, bustling party, setting social boundaries allows you to communicate these preferences clearly and respectfully. It's about saying, I enjoy smaller gatherings more than large parties, or perhaps I prefer outdoor activities to indoor ones. Remember, it's not about isolating yourself, but about building social connections in a way that respects your comfort and energy levels. And just as you set your boundaries, it's equally important to respect the social boundaries set by others. By setting and respecting social boundaries, you create a balance that allows for healthy and enjoyable social interactions. Your social preferences are personal, and you have the right to decide what feels comfortable to you. Your digital boundaries involve your online presence and communication. In today's digital world, it's essential to set clear boundaries to protect your personal life and mental health. The first step is to establish guidelines for how and when you engage with technology. Maybe you turn off your phone during dinner to be present with your family, or perhaps you set specific hours when you're available for work emails. Remember, it's perfectly all right to disconnect from the online world. You're not obligated to respond to every message or comment instantly. Don't let the pressure of constant connectivity rob you of your peace. Also, be mindful of what you share online. Your personal information, photos, and thoughts are valuable and deserve respect. Be selective and intentional about what you post and with whom you share it. Your online presence is your own, and you have the right to decide how it is managed. Intellectual boundaries involve your thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. To set such boundaries, it's essential to foster an environment of respect and understanding. This doesn't mean you need to agree with everyone, but it does mean acknowledging the validity of different perspectives. For instance, imagine you're in a conversation where your beliefs are being challenged. Instead of getting defensive, you can assert your intellectual boundary by saying something like, "I appreciate your perspective, but I see things differently." This approach respects both your boundary and the other person's viewpoint. On the flip side, it's equally important to respect the intellectual boundaries of others. If someone shares an opinion that differs from yours, acknowledge their right to their thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. You might say, "I understand your viewpoint, even though I see it differently." Remember, intellectual boundaries aren't about winning arguments or proving others wrong. They're about respecting diversity of thought. Your thoughts and beliefs are your own, and you have the right to express them. Self-boundaries are the limits and guidelines you set for yourself in various aspects of your life. To dive a little deeper, imagine self-boundaries as invisible fences that help define what you will and won't accept from your own behavior. They're about self-regulation, self-discipline, and above all, self-respect. A significant aspect of self-boundaries is self-respect. This involves treating yourself with the same dignity you'd extend to others. It's about refusing to tolerate self-abuse, negative self-talk, or self-destructive behaviors. Instead, it's about acknowledging your worth and giving yourself the love and respect you deserve. Next, we have self-discipline. This is the cornerstone of self-boundaries. It's about setting limits on procrastination, overindulgence, or impulsive behavior. It involves establishing and maintaining healthy habits and routines, which are key to achieving your goals and living a fulfilled life. Emotional regulation also comes under the umbrella of self-boundaries. It's about managing your emotions in a healthy way. It means recognizing and honoring your feelings, but also setting limits on how much they control your actions and reactions. It's about finding a balance between your emotions and your rational thinking. Then there's personal integrity. Self-boundaries are about aligning your actions with your values and principles. It's about being honest with yourself and others and not compromising your beliefs for the sake of approval or acceptance. When you live with integrity, you live authentically. Lastly, we come to self-care, a vital aspect of self-boundaries. It involves prioritizing your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. This includes setting limits on things that drain you or cause you harm, and making self-care a non-negotiable part of your routine. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. In essence, setting self-boundaries involves clear communication with oneself and assertiveness. It's crucial to be consistent and firm while also being kind to yourself. It's not always an easy task, but it's a rewarding one and a journey worth embarking on. Self-boundaries are about respecting and taking care of yourself. Setting boundaries involves clear communication and assertiveness. We've traversed a journey together, exploring the different types of boundaries we can establish: physical, emotional, time, material, social, digital, intellectual, and self-boundaries. Each of these plays a unique role in safeguarding our well-being and ensuring the health of our relationships. Remember, setting physical boundaries involves defining your comfort with personal space. Emotional boundaries protect your mental health, while time boundaries help prioritize your commitments. Material boundaries lay out what you're comfortable sharing, and social boundaries guide your interactions in different settings. Digital boundaries manage your online presence, and intellectual boundaries respect your thoughts and beliefs. Self-boundaries, the cornerstone, are about self-regulation, discipline, and respect. They define your values, priorities, behaviors, and play a crucial role in your overall well-being. Consistency, firmness, and respect are key when setting these boundaries. Remember, setting boundaries is a sign of self-respect and respect for others. It's about creating a healthy balance in your relationships and your life.